What's going on, YouTube? This is Dwayne Freeman back with another boxing matchup video. In this video, we're going to discuss Tank Davis versus Gary Russell Jr., possibly in the summer of 2022. Now, it's been reported by Mr. Muhammad in an interview that he did earlier on yesterday that there's a talk of Tank Davis versus Gary Russell Jr. in the summer of 2022. Now, this is big news for the boxing community because, as we know, Gary Russell Jr. has been calling out Tank Davis for quite some time now. For whatever reason, Floyd Mayweather had not put that fight on the table. But like I said, Gary Russell has been calling out Tank Davis for quite some time. Gary Russell Jr. has a fight coming up January 22nd of 2022. And as we know, Tank Davis just got finished defeating Isaac Cruz. And he injured his hand in that fight. So he will be out of the ring for a while. So he's recovering from his injury. And like I said, Gary has a fight in January. So the summer of 22 is roughly a good time frame to make the fight. Now, everybody wants to see this fight because Gary Russell Jr. is one of the best 126-pound fighters in the world. He's been holding his belt for about 6 years now. And Tank Davis is one of the top lightweights in the world. He fought at 130 and got a WBA belt. He's fought at 135 and got a WBA belt. And he's fought recently Mario Barrio at 140 and got a WBA belt. But they will be fighting at the weight class of 135. Now, Gary Russell Jr. will be moving up 2 weight classes, but I don't see that being a problem for Gary Russell Jr. because he usually walks around about 150, 145 pounds. So it shouldn't be a problem of him making that weight. Now, they roughly about the same height. I think Tank Davis might be a little bit taller than Gary Russell Jr., but they're roughly about the same height. So this will be a nice matchup. Most people are used to seeing Tank Davis knock his opponents out. But in this last fight that he had with Isaac Cruz, due to the fact that he injured his hand, he had to put on a boxing display, which he did very well. Most people not used to seeing Tank Davis box. They're used to seeing him just coming in there and basically getting his opponent out of there. But like I said, in this last fight, he had to put on a boxing display, which was something that most people not used to seeing from him. Now, everybody know that Gary Russell Jr. is an excellent boxer. He has excellent hand speed, and he got nice power. He doesn't have the power that Tank Davis have, but he does have respectable power. He will he will back you up. He likes to go to the body, and he likes to use his combination and his fast footwork, which they pretty much a split image of each other. Is just Tank Davis' power is more explosive than Gary Russell Jr. and Gary Russell Jr. hand speed is faster than Tank Davis, but they pretty much fight the same style. They don't do a whole lot of movement around the ring, although they can move around the ring when they need to. They both have excellent feet work. They both have excellent ring IQs. And like I said, Gary Russell Jr. has respectable power, and Tank Davis has excellent power. So this will be a awesome matchup. they trying to have the fight in the DMV area, which would be great because Tank Davis is from Baltimore and Gary Russell Jr. represents the DC region. So that's the battle of the Beltway. That's a great fight, and it will be a great showing for the community of DC and Maryland. I'm not sure what venue they're going to try to get because I do know that the MGM Grand, it only holds roughly about 4,000, so they're going to need something bigger than that. They might get it at the Verizon Center, which holds about 19,000 people or 20,000 people, somewhere around there. Or they might be looking for another venue. But whichever venue they get, like I said, it's going to be an excellent matchup. I hope they can get this fight done because this is a fight that a lot of people's been calling for. The boxing community's been calling for a while, since Gary Russell Jr. has been calling out Tank Davis. And it's a great step up for Tank because a lot of people said that Tank hasn't been in any matchups where a top flight boxer or someone that's on his level or the top notch boxers of the lighter weights. A lot of his boxers, most people have already figured that Tank Davis was going to get him out of there. A lot of them wasn't any test for Tank Davis. So this fight here would definitely be a test for Tank Davis. Gary Russell Jr. The only thing that I see is Gary just has to watch out for Tank power, but Tank doesn't have anything that Gary hasn't seen before. Because Gary been boxing for a while now. He's 31 years old. Tank Davis is I believe 26 years old, about to be 27, if he's not already 27. So there's a difference in 4-year age bracket. But like I said, this will be an excellent fight. And like I said, I hope they do come to an agreement and this fight is announced for the summer of 2022. And the boxing community would definitely support this fight. And I can't wait. That's all I got for you. Please like, share, subscribe to my channel, share this video, and I'll be back with more. It's your boy, Dwayne Freeman, Boxing Matchups.